We are covering a lot of breaking news this morning at 5:32. I just sent you a push alert if you've got our WKBW app for your phone or your tablet. We've now learned a woman in her 40s is dead after a hit-and-run crash. This one on the city's east side. It's the second one in just as many days. This one at East Ferry and Donovan just about 10:30 last night. You can see Buffalo police had the area taped off with an SUV behind one of those cordoned off areas. At this point, we don't know anything about the driver, anything about the woman other than her age and what led to her death. We are working with Buffalo police to try and get some more information. We'll keep you posted as soon as we get that detail.
At 5:32 this morning, the suspect who shot a man and a 13-year-old girl still on the run. Let's take a look at the scene at Grant and Breckenridge late last night. Police officers were there late into the night. They were combing that scene for evidence. And this morning, both of those shooting victims are expected to recover. The 13-year-old girl now at Women and Children's Hospital, and that's where we find our 7 Eyewitness News reporter Tweelan Nugent live for us this morning with details.
Yeah, an absolutely terrifying night and a scarier morning as the family here waiting for a full recovery for this 13-year-old girl. We're told by police she was hit by a stray bullet last night. Now, Buffalo police say the girl was sitting on her front porch with family when she was hit by a stray bullet on Buffalo's west side. This happened at Breckenridge and Grant. A 33-year-old man was also shot there. He was taken to ECMC. Police say both injuries to the man and the girl appear to be non-life threatening. Mayor Byron Brown visited the girl and her family here at Women and Children's Hospital late last night, and he says while this incident is another instance of violent crime in the city, Buffalo is actually less violent than it's been in the past.
At a time like this, when a child is struck by gunfire, statistics don't matter, but statistically crime is down this year from the same period of time last year. It's down overall. Violent crime is down. And just this weekend, we arrested 13 individuals with illegal guns that they were in possession of.
Now, we don't have the statistics the mayor is quoting there, but we did our own research this morning, and we have data from the FBI showing that violent crime from 2015 to 2016 actually went up. Now, we will be asking the mayor's office for the most recent data that the mayor was talking about. Again, the 33-year-old man and that 13-year-old girl, their injuries appear to be non-life threatening, but we're going to continue to follow both of their conditions. And again, police have no one in custody, so anyone with information is asked to call the confidential tip line. I've just tweeted that number for you. Live at Women and Children's Hospital, I'm Tweelan Nugent, 7 Eyewitness News.
Tweelan, thank you. We'll check in with you throughout the morning. A third breaking story overnight. Firefighters in Cheektowaga are now trying to figure out what caused this fire inside of a home. Firefighters were called to Marne Road just before 2 o'clock this morning. At this point, we don't know if anyone was inside or if anyone was hurt. We're going to follow up with Cheektowaga firefighters for you throughout the morning.
At 5:35, a story you've got to see this morning because a 7-year-old boy now back home after several weeks in the hospital. He was recovering from a dog attack. Caden did his happy dance. You're seeing it right here. This is at the hospital before he went home. He's come a long way since he was attacked by 2 Rottweilers while he was playing with his cousins last month in Niagara Falls. He's had several surgeries and more than 500 stitches in his head.
We didn't think he was coming home. We didn't think he was going to make this trip. The doctors weren't sure. First night was 6 hours surgery.
Jeez. So good to see him dancing like he was. His recovery, though, far from over. His family says he's going to need more surgery. He'll be in a neck brace for the next 6 to 9 months. Those 2 dogs that attacked him were euthanized. And a corrections officer from Attica Correctional Facility was taken to the hospital after an inmate gave that officer a concussion. According to the Buffalo News, this happened Sunday when a 32-year-old inmate broke free from restraints in his hospital bed, then tore a monitor off the wall. When officers tried to restrain him, the inmate used that monitor to hit one of the officers. That officer was taken to ECMC. The inmate has not been identified.
Governor Cuomo now says he wants to reach an agreement with the Seneca Nation of Indians to see it continue revenue sharing with New York State and local governments. Back in March, the Seneca Nation said it would no longer participate in the casino revenue sharing outlined in the 2002 compact. It says the compact only called for revenue sharing for the first 14 years. The state and city governments, though, disagree. The governor says the state could take the contract to arbitration, but it's something he'd like to avoid.
I'm reaching out to the Senecas, and if there's any way we can resolve it, I prefer that. Litigation is long. The Senecas have a history of litigation with the state, with the local governments.
The compact will run until 2023.
5:37, President Trump says he has some pretty severe things in mind to pay North Korea back for this week's missile launch. The president spoke yesterday from Germany. He said the North is behaving dangerously and that something has to be done. This comes as U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, told the UN Security Council the U.S. has considerable military force, but Secretary of Defense James Mattis says this focus still on diplomacy. Investigators now getting a better idea of what motivated a man to shoot an NYPD officer who was sitting in her patrol car. Alexander Bonds, we know, shot and killed Officer Miosotis Familia earlier this week. He was later shot and killed by police. Now his ex-girlfriend says he was paranoid and erratic and that she brought him to a hospital for psychiatric help days before that shooting. She says the hospital released him after just about an hour. New York's governor now ordering a state investigation into that hospital's procedures.
5:38 on a Friday, the government says hackers are targeting American nuclear plants and other energy facilities. The feds are now sending warnings to these power plants. Leaders say the hackers have not gotten into anything yet, but it's certainly raising suspicion about their motives. One theory here is that they're looking for vulnerabilities in the system to eventually disrupt the power grid. Some experts believe Russia is behind these hacks.
We are learning that controversial ride-sharing fee at the airport might be temporary. Up next, we'll tell you when the NFTA is going to take a second look.
Also ahead this morning, would you let your car insurance company spy on you, all to save a buck? It's kind of like Big Brother.
And a lost dog comes home after 4 years. This one going to make you want to make sure your dog is microchipped. You're watching 7 Eyewitness News at 5.
In today's Tech Bites, a new battle for Apple.
Qualcomm is now asking the government to halt all iPhone sales and imports, accusing Apple of infringing on 6 patents.
The company says Apple is using its technology and refusing to pay. Apple says Qualcomm is overcharging.
And if you paid $5 to the FAA to register your drone, you may be eligible for a refund. The U.S. Court of Appeals says requiring registration violates federal law.
The FAA is not allowed to make rules regarding model aircraft. The agency must also delete any data users provided. And Nike says it won't be long before you can shop for new sneakers at an unexpected spot. On Instagram.
With about 700 million people using Instagram every month, the sportswear maker is hoping to reach a whole new group of younger customers.
Pretty cool. Those are your Tech Bites.
Have a great day.
Can you actually love wearing powerful sunscreen? Yes. Neutrogena Ultra Sheer. No other sunscreen works better or feels so good. Clinically proven Helioplex provides unbeatable UVA/UVB protection to help prevent early skin aging and skin cancer, all with a clean, light feel. For unbeatable protection, it's the one. The best for your skin. Ultra Sheer. Neutrogena. See what's possible.
Who knew that my period or sex, even soap, could throw off my pH balance?
Only Vagisil pH Balance Wash has lacto prebiotic. Use it every day to help support a healthy feminine pH. Get more from your wash. Get better intimate health. Vagisil.
My sweetheart's gone sayonara. This scarf, all that's left to remember.
What? She washed this like a month ago.
The long-lasting scent of Gain. Now available in matching scents across your entire laundry routine.
Get the latest weather alerts from the 7 First Alert team of meteorologists and the latest headlines from the 7 Eyewitness Newsroom by liking us on Facebook and following us on Twitter.
There we go, starting off Friday morning, thinking about Friday night. We're going to see a lot of those boats, another active place in Western New York as folks make their way down to the waterfront. Great to have you along. It is coming up on 5:45 as we start your Friday morning. Let's get to it, and we're going to take a look at what we've got outside. 68 degrees is the temperature. The water temperature doing better than that. You can tack on 7, make it an even 75 degrees. For Lake Erie this morning. We've got an 8-mile-an-hour breeze, and that's enough to put a little shake on Skywatch 7 this morning. Other than that, it's a pretty easy-going day. We've got a nice-looking sky out of the gate. Erie Basin Marina, as we look at the forecast for the water today, we've had almost windless days going back to the 4th of July. Today, we boost that number to about 15 miles an hour. That's going to make those waves bounce around 1 to 2 foot. If you want to stay inside the break wall, nobody's going to fault you today. That way your drinks won't spill. 74 degrees in Chicago. That is a warm day in the Windy City, but look what they're contending with right over here at the other end of Lake Erie. That is a lot of lightning, more than 200 lightning strikes, and they just keep on coming, crawling their way across the thumb of Michigan towards Toledo, maybe taking more of a direct hit than Cleveland, and it's very wet down here as well. Haven't called out any names in Western New York because this is where that cluster lives. Although it's in close enough proximity, we may see some activity around the edges here, and one of those is working its way across Long Point. We'll probably see some smaller scale cells work their way into Western New York today. Still looking okay for the beach. If you wanted to make it out there, you just got to find some time to slide under the tiki hut, as we mentioned before, to maybe duck a shower or two. Here's how the day goes today. Looking for a mix of sun and clouds. Not a full cloud deck today, but there will be times that the sun kind of plays peekaboo. Up around 80 degrees. We'll settle to 70 this evening. Best chance of seeing the rain showers going to come during the afternoon hours. Here's what happens in Cleveland this morning. We miss out on that, maybe tagging a section of the southern tier, but then the atmosphere will percolate a little bit, and we'll see a few cells between Buffalo, Batavia, out to Warsaw, Springville, maybe the driest part of Western New York, right right in here as we find some scattered activity. But notice that we do not see full coverage today. We're calling it scattered. So if you have outdoor plans, I don't want you to think about, hey, I've got to shutter everything down, because I do think we will find some dry time. Saturday is a much cooler day, far less humid as well. There may be some showers out there. The most likely time for those before 12 o'clock. Then they start to dry out. If you have evening plans on Saturday, looking good. Sunday is obviously the better of the two, as we're sitting at 75. That'll please a lot of people. And as we look at the Taste of Buffalo, I think we're going to have huge crowds down there. And if you like the cool stuff, Saturday is your day. It'll actually keep the crowds away, the threat of some showers there as well.
Can I be totally honest with you? I'm looking forward to wearing a long sleeve shirt on Saturday.
Okay.
Right? I feel like that's exciting.
I'm really happy to hear that, Adam. Thank you.
Some people like it. You know what? It's the variety.
Yeah, exactly. The spice of life, because Taste of Buffalo kicks off tomorrow.
Just been wearing so many tank tops lately. You're excited for that long
sun's out, guns out. That's the way I look at life.
Well, how about this? Looking ahead.
Right. It starts at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning.
It's the largest two-day food festival in the country, with about 500,000 people expected to be there, including Ed. This year, 60 restaurants are offering up their best dishes. You're going to get a preview of some of their healthy offerings. That's coming up later this morning. But you got to try all of them, right? Not just the healthy.
Yeah, you can't just stop with the salad.
A little bit of everything this weekend.
Gotta go full in.
Ride sharing finally in Western New York.
But the NFTA is facing a lot of questions this morning after announcing there would be airport ride sharing fees. So many of us want to know why the heck this fee was put in place in the first place and how exactly they came up with the numbers to charge. The NFTA says the $3 surcharge for Lyft is comparable to other airports. Right now, the ride-sharing fee agreement only lasts for a year, and after that, the NFTA plans to reevaluate.
The airport does not receive any operating assistance. It is self-sufficient, and it's through user fees like this that we have such a beautiful, gorgeous, both airports here in Western New York.
It's important to know the charge only applies to ride-sharing cars that are pulling up on airport property, which means you can actually avoid the charge by simply walking across the street and hailing an Uber there.
Depends on how much luggage you're bringing with you, I guess. Imagine your best friend disappears for 4 years without a trace, then suddenly pops up across the country.
That's what happened to a woman and her dog. They met in the middle in Cleveland, and reporter Lee Jordan has the story.
I never thought I'd see him again. No.
These are the happy dog kisses and cuddles that Michelle Davis thought she'd never experience again with her sweet pit bull mix, who came into her life almost 7 years ago.
I found him in October 2010. He was abandoned in a yard left on a heavy logging chain.
Michelle named her rescue Shiny, and they bonded.
He's a mama's boy. He's very protective of me.
And very sociable. 4.5 years ago, Shiny found a way under the fence in his yard and disappeared. Heartbroken, Michelle looked for him every day.
And every time I would drive by the exit where we lived when he disappeared, I would pray that he was safe and sound somewhere and would ask God to let him know that I loved him and missed him.
What Michelle couldn't know was that Shiny had somehow traveled more than 2,000 miles from Asheville, all the way to Northern California. Picked up about a week ago by a dog warden, it was the microchip that Michelle had implanted years ago that put the Mendocino Animal Shelter in touch with Michelle's husband, who told her,
"Well, I got a call from an animal shelter in California," and I was like, "Oh my God, it's Shiny." And that was it.
The animal shelter posted a pic of Shiny ready to go home and looking for a ride. That's where Karen Shaver, who operates Orphan Dog Rescue in Northern California, came in.
He ended up being a super easy traveler. I was very grateful.
Karen was headed to Boston and agreed to meet Michelle today in Macedonia, where Michelle laid eyes on Shiny for the first time in more than 4 years.
That was awesome. None of this would have happened without that microchip.
Yes. Yes, he's mommy. He's mommy. Yes.
Oh, Shiny's so happy.
We love a good dog story. So cute.
Job interviews can be scary, right? You'll either love or hate this alternative, though. Would you agree to an interview via text message?
Also, would you let your insurance company spy on you? How about if it could save you a lot of money? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In this morning's GMA First Look, a youth soccer league is telling parents to stay quiet at their kids' games.
We just felt as a board that it was time in a leadership way to do something to get people's attention.
This memo, dubbed Silent September, sent to the parents of the 30,000 youth players in the league, explains that come soccer season this fall, all parents and visitors shall be silent during the game, adding, just enjoy your player and the game that they love.
When parents, yell at the referees like that, it makes the kids uncomfortable.
For the parents watching from the stands, the reaction to this was mixed.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's going to benefit the children as well as the referees.
I was a little surprised because I'm one of those that enjoys at times coaching from the sidelines.
We'll have more on this silence on the sidelines coming up at 7 a.m. with your GMA First Look. I'm TJ Holmes, ABC News in New York.
Needles. Essential for him, but maybe not for people with rheumatoid arthritis, because there are options, like an injection. Xeljanz XR, a once-daily pill for adults with moderate to severe RA for whom methotrexate did not work well. Xeljanz XR can reduce pain, swelling, and joint damage, even without methotrexate. Xeljanz XR can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections, lymphoma, and other cancers have happened. Don't start Xeljanz XR if you have an infection. Tears in the stomach or intestines, low blood cell counts, and higher liver tests and cholesterol levels have happened. Your doctor should perform blood tests before you start and while taking Xeljanz XR and monitor certain liver tests. Tell your doctor if you are in a region where fungal infections are common and if you have had TB, hepatitis B or C, or are prone to infections. Needles, fine for some, but for you, one pill a day may provide symptom relief. Ask your doctor about Xeljanz XR, an injection.
.556 on a Friday morning. Listen to this story. First responders had to use Narcan to revive a baby after she was stuck with a hypodermic needle. Police say the 9-month-old girl was accidentally injected with some kind of drug in her leg. This happened in a Philly suburb. At this point, we know she's in stable condition. Her father, though, is charged with aggravated assault and reckless endangerment. We've been talking about this all morning long. Job interviews are daunting. I hate them. I hate selling myself. Whether they're in person or on the phone, they're just as bad.
How about if it was a text message? Could you do that?
No, not at all.
I bet you could. An Indianapolis company has created software to allow employers to send interview questions via computer and then have potential hires respond via text. The company is called Canvas. It keeps a log of all the questions and answers, and interviewers can then share them with others.
Yeah, we're the world's first text-based interviewing platform. We're well on our way and currently recruiting and interviewing everything from welders to software engineers, salespeople, physicians, and physical therapists all through the platform.
I think hidden behind this, they're seeing how people write.
Right, exactly.
Checking grammar and things like that. This interview is still conversational. It's a lot like your usual text interaction. Recruiters say they're getting in touch with candidates much faster as well with this app. You've probably seen commercials for these on TV, those little devices you can plug into your car to lower your insurance rates. But do they really work? And is there a downside? Reporter Jackie Calloway is taking a look.
If I didn't feel I was a careful driver, I wouldn't have done it in the first place.
When his auto carrier hit Jerry Arkin with a rate increase, this driver agreed to have a tiny device attached to his vehicle.
Might as well do it. I mean, nothing to lose.
Jerry saved 20%, about $600 a year, by signing up for Nationwide's Smart Ride.
Then, with your car turned off, push in the device.
While telematics, or little black box insurance as it's called, has been around for years, more smaller companies now offer it as an option.
The things that can go bad are that you hit the brakes real hard all the time because probably you're tailgating.
Jerry says his wife also signed up and her policy dropped by 25%.
2 cars, I'm saving $1,200.
The downside, your driving habits become an open book. Your insurer is going to know just how fast you go, how many hard breaks you make, and how much you drive at night.
Depending on how well you handle the road, your insurance may drop even further at the next renewal. That didn't happen in Jerry's case.
It was enough to make it worth it.
At your next renewal, contact an independent agent who can quote multiple companies. Then compare that to what your rate would be with the tiny spy attached to your engine. Jackie Calloway taking action for you.
So it does look like it might be worth checking with your insurance company. Maybe see if they offer one of those devices if you think it'd give you a little bit of a break.
This morning, we're live at Women and Children's Hospital, where a 13-year-old girl is recovering from a gunshot wound after a double shooting on Buffalo's west side. The latest on that investigation coming up.
And another hit and run ends with a woman dead this morning. So what is Buffalo's mayor doing to help find and arrest these drivers in all these cases?
A bicyclist taken to the hospital overnight after being hit by a car in North Buffalo, but who's at fault here?
And a lot of us looking to take a trip this summer, but depending on the day you book, you could be spending more. So we're going to show you how to save some cash coming up.
This is breaking news from 7 Eyewitness News.
Just into our newsroom within the last half hour, we've now learned a 40-year-old woman has died after a hit-and-run crash on Buffalo's east side. This one right near the True Bethel Baptist Church between Ryder and Donovan about 10 o'clock last night. The driver has not been caught here. We have no information about the woman who was hit, the circumstances surrounding her death, but this is just one in a string of unsolved hit and runs in the Queen City, Katie.
In the meantime, the family of 7-year-old Tremont Seals is now sharing a picture of him with 7 Eyewitness News. They're hoping it spurs anyone who knows anything about who hit this little boy with their car to come forward. Seals was hit on Loring Avenue in Buffalo on the 4th of July just a few days ago. The driver of that car took off. The 7-year-old remains in critical condition at Women and Children's Hospital. We spoke with Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown about these hit and runs in the city.
We're working very diligently on the one that, the 2 that occurred prior to tonight, and we're looking for leads to come in from members of the public.
Anyone with any information on who hit Tremont Seals asked to give Buffalo Police a call. A GoFundMe page has been set up to help his family, and you can find a link right now on our WKBW app. And we're also covering this breaking news this morning as a man who shot 2 people on the city's west side, including a 13-year-old girl, is still on the run. We now know that that girl and a 33-year-old man are recovering from gunshot wounds at 2 local hospitals.
I want to show you exactly where this happened on Grant and Breckenridge. This is right on the city's west side. About 10 o'clock last night, the same time police were dealing with this hit and run on the city's east side. As for the shooting, these 2 victims are expected to survive. The 13-year-old girl being treated now at Women and Children's Hospital. And that's where we find our 7 Eyewitness News reporter Tweelan Nugent live for us with details this morning. Tweelan, what's new?
Yeah, that 13-year-old girl recovering here this morning and under a watchful eye after what we're told she was hit by a stray bullet. And we're told her injuries here are non-life threatening. But sources tell us this shooting happened at a candlelight vigil on the west side. Buffalo police responded around 9:40 p.m. to Grant and Breckenridge. Now police say the 13-year-old girl was sitting on her front porch when she was hit by a stray bullet. A 33-year-old man was also shot and he was taken to ECMC. Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown made a visit here to Women and Children's to check on that 13-year-old girl and her family last night, some of whom were with her when she was shot.
No, this was not targeted at all as far as we know. This was happenstance. The young girl was sitting on her porch with members of her family when she was struck by gunfire, so certainly she was not the target of this.
Anyone with information about this shooting is asked to call the confidential tip line at 716-847-2255. We have that on our website, and I've just put it on Twitter as well. Again, injuries to that 13-year-old girl and that 33-year-old man who's recovering at ECMC appear to be non-life threatening, but no one in custody at this time. And coming up in the next half hour, despite this instance of crime, the mayor says crime is actually down in Buffalo as of this time last year, but we'll see what he has to say about it as well. We're live at Women and Children's Hospital. I'm Tweelon Nugent, 7 Eyewitness News.
Tweelon, thank you. 6:03, another breaking story overnight. Buffalo police now looking into a crash in North Buffalo where a car hit a biker. And look at the bicycle here, mangled. That biker taken to ECMC. This was about midnight on Hurdle Avenue near Fairchild. This is actually right near that Lombardo restaurant on Hurdle Avenue. Buffalo police tell us the biker tried to cross the street when oncoming traffic had a green light. The car tried to stop but wound up hitting the biker. Police say no charges filed here.
At 6:03, a Dunkirk woman locked up this morning waiting to be arraigned on a second-degree murder charge. Police there arrested this woman, 28-year-old Rebecca Ruiz, overnight. You can see her smiling in her mugshot here. Officers were called to a home on Lakeshore Drive around 10 o'clock last night for a shooting. They found a man lying in the yard. He was pronounced dead at a local hospital. Police say they think this is a targeted attack. The victim has not been identified.
President Trump is about to meet with Russia President Vladimir Putin, and the entire world is watching. The White House says Syria and Russia's conflict with Ukraine will be a big focus this morning. In his speech in Poland yesterday, President Trump downplayed Russian meddling in the election. He said it could have been other countries or even people, despite his own intelligence community findings.
Nobody really knows for sure. I remember when I was sitting back listening about Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, how everybody was 100% sure that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Guess what? That led to one big mess. They were wrong, and it led to a mess.
President Trump also refused to say if he'd bring it up during his meeting with Putin.
Meantime, intelligence leaders are now saying that Russia has been sending more undercover spies to the U.S., particularly since the election. They think that Russia has about 150 operatives in the U.S. Some experts say they're trying to replenish numbers here since the Obama administration kicked 35 Russian diplomats out of the country in December, and that was in retaliation for apparently meddling in the election. 6:05,
Bill Cosby's retrial on sex assault accusations will start on November 6th. The same judge who presided over the first trial set the date, and he'll preside over this next retrial as well. Cosby's accused of drugging and sexually assaulting Andrea Constant at his house in Philly back in 2004. The first attempt ended in a mistrial because jurors were deadlocked.
Protesters are staging sit-ins over the Senate Republican health care bill. These are happening at senators' offices all across the country.
This bill is designed to kill free speech. Demand it! Free speech.
Police arrested 5 protesters outside Senator Jeff Flake's office. That's in Phoenix. And then this video outside one protest of Senator Ron Johnson's office in Wisconsin. Several senators held town halls. They were talking to people about the bill and listening to their concerns.
Senator Chuck Schumer is calling for federal help this morning to make winter driving safer for all of us on Route 5. He wants the Army Corps of Engineers to replace the 100-year-old barrier wall there with a newer, more durable wall. Crashing waves there sometimes lead to the Route 5 being shut down, and in the summer this new wall would double as a pedestrian walkway.
Former State Senator George Maziar is due back in an Albany courtroom today. The Buffalo News reporting he's expected to speak in front of a judge and asking him to dismiss the case. Maziarz is facing 5 counts of election law violations. He's accused of using campaign money to make secret payments to a former Senate staffer.
6:07, looking ahead this morning, hundreds of people are expected at Coca-Cola Field this weekend for what's being called Namastadium. Instructors from Power Yoga Buffalo will run folks through yoga classes starting 11:30 in the morning. Tickets are $35, and kids 12 and under get a free class. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it does. Namastadium. Andy, how's the weather going to be? People are headed out this weekend. Maybe Taste of Buffalo, maybe to the stadium show.
Well, it's going to get a little cooler, I can tell you that. All this heat and humidity out there. Look at the activity out there last evening as we went from 8:40 and past 9 o'clock. The lights come on in the city. Look at all the navigation out there as the boats come in and out. A lot of people on those evening cruises. What a gorgeous night as we had barely a breeze. That's a live view right now. We've turned it around. Sunrise and sunset aren't separated by, or I should say sunset and sunrise only separated by a few hours as the light comes up early. We had sunrise at 5:44, and it is much brighter in the sky, starting off with some sun. Now today, there's some activity out there, no doubt about it. We're watching a lot of lightning strikes. I think we're up over 300 in the last hour. Most of that is going to be at the other end of the lake. There are a couple of stragglers inching their way across Lake Erie. We may see some of this hold together. I don't think it's going to look like that by the time it gets here, but there will be some scattered activity. Right now, we're giving everybody the free and clear, watching 7 Super Doppler, this one turning from yellow to green, which means it's weakening as it comes across. Lake Erie's at 75 degrees, though. We're shooting for an air temperature of 80 today. There will be some limited scattered storms as we make our way through the day. Winds out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. So we're going to see more of a breeze in the air than we've had the past 2 days, but it is going to be humid. And you wonder how the weekend looks. Well, look at this. The temperature drops, shave 10 off of that. You'll notice the difference. Lower humidity. There will be a few scattered showers, most of them before noon. And then by the time we get to the end of the day, we're drying out. Sunday, the better of the two. If you have outdoor plans, no problems there. Easier sleeping at night. Look at those overnight lows as they dip down into the 50s Saturday night into Sunday. We'll talk more about the 7-day, and we'll have some targeted forecasts for the Taste of Buffalo for you outdoors in a few minutes.
Those are the best sleeping nights, aren't they?
Right, and then getting dressed in the morning when it's not easy to sleep in, that's even worse.
Yeah. All right. We all know too much sugar can be bad for your health, but expecting mothers have too much of it in your diet, and it could affect your baby. We'll tell you how coming up.
There's a brand new ride in town. It's big, it's red, and it's showing you the sights of the Queen City like you've never seen from different levels. It's a new tour in town. Stick with us. Come on and take a ride with me.
Also ahead this morning, now that ride sharing is in Western New York, many of us may be thinking about picking up a second side job, maybe as a driver. So we're going to look at how much money you might actually make so you're not wasting your money. 6:10, you're watching 7 Eyewitness News on a Finally Friday.
You're watching 7 Eyewitness News. Let's bring you up to speed.
It is 6:12 on your Friday morning, and the nation's top government ethics watchdog is out. Walter Shaub, director of the Office of Government Ethics, submitted his resignation yesterday. The president will now pick his replacement, but the Senate has to approve the nominee. Today, Ruthie's Law, set to become official. Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz is going to sign it. The law requires nursing homes to alert families within an hour if a resident is hurt. That law is named after Ruth Murray. She was killed by a fellow resident at a nursing home last year. And today, work begins on the Alex Rice skate park. It was 6 years ago when a drunk driver hit and killed 18-year-old Rice while she was riding her longboard in Amherst. Since 2012, the community's been raising money to build this skate park in her memory. They break ground today at the Northtown Center.
Getting ready for a Friday. We're going to have to share the sky with some scattered thunderstorms today, but plenty of dry time. We'll talk about the weekend coming up.
6:14 on a Friday morning. If you're looking to drive for Uber or Lyft and get guaranteed money immediately, consumer reporter John Matarese looks into the hottest side of the hustle so you don't waste your money.
How would you like to make some extra money in your free time? More and more people are signing up to become Uber and Lyft drivers. But which is better? And how much can you really make?
Stephen Valentine is just out of the Army. And since he drives a fuel-sipping hybrid Camry, this veteran figured ride-sharing would be a great way to earn extra income, driving for Uber or Lyft.
Well, I was wanting to find out which ones you can earn the most money, which ones has like the better benefits.
Now, at first glance, the two rideshare services appear to be very similar, with Uber being more popular in many cities. But then when you dig deeper, you find that there are quite a few differences.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Vicky's Whistler has been supplementing her print shop business as a driver for both Uber and Lyft over the past 4 years.
Pretty much a guarantee that you're going to generate cash.
She says she's done better with Uber since it's in more cities and riders are more familiar with it.
The Lyft app is a little bit less informative.
But Lyft, she says, has one big advantage. It encourages passengers to leave a tip.
There is a tipping feature in Lyft where the passenger can choose to leave one at the end of the ride.
Both companies will now let you lease a car instead of wearing out your own car. Vicky says it's worth considering.
The advantage to leasing it is exactly that, not putting miles on your car, because it is extreme mileage.
But leasing lowers your take-home pay. Speaking of pay, NerdWallet compared services and says Lyft's average pay is $11 an hour, but tipping can bring you more. Uber's average pay is $15 an hour. Uber has 2 more bonuses. Earn money delivering food through Uber Eats and get paid more if you drive a fancier car. With both, Vicky says, you'll make the most money during peak times, such as Friday and Saturday nights, but a caution.
I've had 4 people throw up in my car.
In the end, NerdWallet gives a slight edge to Uber. It says to earn $50,000 a year, you must provide 60 Uber rides per week or 80 rides a week with Lyft.
By the way, these rideshare jobs are not just for young people. Uber says many of its new drivers are over 50. Interested? Both companies have sign-up sections on their websites. You don't waste your money. I'm John Matarese, 7 Eyewitness News.
How many moms out there feel like they've driven 80 rides in a given week to soccer practice or extracurriculars, right? You might as well drive for Lyft there.
Then they get paid for it,
exactly.
Right? All right. Well, we have all seen those iconic red double-decker buses, but we usually see them in Britain, right?
Yeah, double-decker tours are giving us a unique look at Canalside and even the Naval Park here in Buffalo. 7 Eyewitness News reporter Liz Lewin here with us
okay.
this morning.
Anytime.
But you're both so beautiful. I got so confused.
Oh, I love you both. Well, good morning, West New York. Well, when you think about London, as Katie says, you think tea parties, a royal family, of course, those red double-decker buses. Now, get a taste of the UK right here in the Queen City. I had so much fun aboard Buffalo double-decker bus tours yesterday, kicking off their first tour day today. And I took a sneak peek, and I want to take you aboard with me of this 1980 British bus. It's the great idea if you're looking for some fun. You can climb aboard, and that's exactly how you could sum up this ride. The 1980 Leland Olympian bus was imported directly from England and now calls Buffalo home. Thanks to 716 Limousine and veteran Buffalo Niagara tour guide Joel Dombrowski, it's unlike any other tour you'll ever see in the Queen City. Now, Dombrowski says the idea was inspired by his time abroad, his love for history, storytelling, and Buffalo, of course. Taking people, both locals and visitors, around town, sharing their experiences, exploring sites, and meeting new people along the way.
Sometimes tours are just based upon geography. Someone points to a building and tells you about the building. We focus on events, we focus on people. We want to tell you the stories, the gritty stories, the real life stories. Some of them are tragic, some of them are humorous, about how Buffalo went from a small, just a backwater village to becoming the 8th largest city in the country.
Dombrowski says the tour is all about mixing humor and history because that's how you bring the past back to life. The idea, he says, has been supported by the Erie County Harbor Development Corporation, the county, the city, and the DMV, of course. So what kind of tours are being offered today, and when can you take them? Well, stick with us. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, I'll share with you everything you need to know about these unique tours and where you can catch a ride if you're interested. At the digital dashboard, Liz Lewin, 7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Liz, thank you very much.
Good recovery.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Right, it is Friday. You know, this is something a lot of people are looking forward to on the weekend, something to do, something to tour, something to learn about.
Yeah, and it's going to be a good one. I mean, this is a weekend in Western New York that don't waste it. You know, don't look at the forecast and say, well, I can't do any of that. Let's get to it and take a look outside this morning. We've got the windmills catching a little bit of wind and the sunshine. You can see them illuminated this morning. It's going to be another bright day, hazy and humid as you walk out the door. 5:44 was the beginning of the day. We don't see the set until almost 9 o'clock. Look at this, Chicago, pair of 7s this morning, but it's Detroit and Cleveland. It's these thunderstorms shooting the gap today right over top of Toledo. They're going to miss most of us. We're expecting scattered activity here, but that, folks, is a lot of lightning and thunder. I mean, you will hear that one coming. Look at how close it is, too. It's throwing one cell here. That one's kind of fading away, but as this piece of energy rolls our direction, we'll have an opportunity for a few of those. Looks like the best chance of a morning shot of showers is going to be down near the Pennsylvania line as this inches its way towards Jamestown. But again, the trend is taking it a lot closer to Cleveland and Ashtabula than it will be to our southern tier. So right now, everybody is dry but very humid outside as we start things out. And there's we begin looking at the day today, shooting for around 80. Yesterday, Buffalo hit 85 in the afternoon. So we'll shave a few degrees off of there, but still keep it very humid outside, sticky. 15-mile-an-hour breezes. Yesterday, we were lucky if we had a 5-mile-an-hour breeze. Today, we're going to stir the air a little bit more, and you notice how we do not have full cloud cover today. I think we're going to get sun and clouds and an opportunity for thunderstorms scattered about. The humidity index, not oppressive, but we are staying right in the muggy category as we have dew points up into the 60s once again. Here's where we have some showers down to the south, and we're going to be watching this as it traverses the lake. And again, a close call here for the southern tier before 12 o'clock. After 12 o'clock, this is when the Buffalo and the North Towns have the best chance of getting a shot of showers. This will probably be the cloudiest part of your day as well if you're planning some outdoor activities. And you notice we get another round in here. Again, scattered activity, folks. So if you're going to be out on the lake, I would not tell you don't go, but just be prepared to watch the skies today. 7 Super Doppler. This is the one right here. See one of these? Bring it with you. All you have to do is know WKBW.com, and you can have the power of 7 Super Doppler. You'll be the first to know, and you'll have it on your cell phone. Look at this. Here we go for the weekend. Taste of Buffalo plans. Going to have a few showers before noon. It looks like the afternoon, those will start to come to an end. The best we do is about 70. Sunday, the easier of the two, I think the more pleasing day at 75, and we'll stay between 75 and 80 right on through next week, guys.
Looking nice, Andy. Thank you. Summertime also might mean time to hop on a plane, maybe take a trip somewhere. But before you're booking, do you know what day it is? You got to make sure you're saving some cash. It could make a difference.
Also ahead this morning, expecting moms, you know your diet plays a huge role in your child's health, but we'll tell you why you might want to cut out sugar starting right now. Don't go away. It's 6:21. You're watching 7 Eyewitness News on a Friday.
It is 6:24 on your Friday morning. For years, we've heard Tuesday, the best day to find cheap plane tickets, right? Turns out, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not is right. Turns out the only time you'll actually see a deal on that day is midnight, and the average savings is only $18. That's according to airfare forecasting company Hopper. The cheapest day to get a ticket is actually Thursday, and the study found that Saturday is the most expensive day to book a flight.
Are you in the market for a new car? Because safety could be a #1 priority. Check in the lot. And the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety just added 3 more cars to its list of the ones that are the safest. The Lincoln Continental, Mercedes-Benz E-Class, and the Toyota Avalon. These cars had to get good ratings in 5 crash tests to stay on top of that list.
625, expecting moms know their diet plays a big role in their baby's health.
And it turns out too much sugar could mean your growing child might develop some allergies. Sugar, coffee, tea, some of the foods and drinks that were linked to a higher risk of allergies. The study also showed women who consumed a higher amount of daily sugar twice as likely to have kids who had asthma than mothers who did not consume that sugar. Straight ahead, a little boy finally able to go home from the hospital after he was attacked by 2 dogs. Wait till you see how excited he is, and we'll talk about his road to recovery.
Also ahead this morning, a teenage girl taken to the hospital, hit by gunfire, just sitting on her porch. How can this happen? That's coming up.
There may be some thunderstorms on the way today, but there'll be something in the sky that will illuminate your weekend. I'll enlighten you when you join me back here in 2 minutes on the weather outside.
Bottom of the hour on a Friday morning. Breaking details coming into the live desk this morning about a second hit and run in Buffalo in just as many days. Now we're learning a 40-year-old woman is killed in this one.
This morning, we're live at Women and Children's Hospital, where a 13-year-old girl is recovering after being hit by a stray bullet at a double shooting at a candlelight vigil on Buffalo's west side. We'll tell you about the latest coming up.
A little boy who was attacked by 2 dogs finally going home. We have more on the long road ahead of him.